What if I told you that one book became so powerful that, within just 12 months, it helped change how an entire generation thought about society, freedom, and human rights? The book was Uncle Tom's Cabin, written by Harriet Beecher Stowe. Published in 1852, Stowe's novel told the story of enslaved people living under the brutal realities of American slavery. At its center was Uncle Tom, a deeply religious enslaved man whose suffering became a symbol of the cruelty of the institution. But Stowe wasn't simply writing a story, she was making an argument, and she knew exactly who she wanted to reach: ordinary readers. Instead of presenting slavery as an abstract political issue, Stowe made readers experience it through individual characters, families being separated, people being sold, children being torn from their parents, and human beings treated as property. That emotional approach was enormously powerful. The novel was first published as a serial in an abolitionist newspaper, with installments appearing weekly. When it was released as a book in March 1852, its impact exploded. Within its first year, hundreds of thousands of copies were sold in the United States, making it one of the biggest publishing sensations of the 19th century. It was also translated and circulated internationally. And suddenly, slavery wasn't just a political debate. For millions of readers, it had become personal. People who had never witnessed slavery firsthand were now encountering its brutality through fiction. The book became a cultural phenomenon and one of the most controversial novels in America. Supporters of slavery attacked Stowe and accused her of exaggerating or misrepresenting the institution. Pro-slavery writers even produced their own novels attempting to counter her story. But the controversy only made the book more famous, and its influence reached far beyond literature. The novel helped strengthen anti-slavery sentiment in the North at a crucial moment in American history. It became part of the cultural conflict that would eventually contribute to the tensions leading to the American Civil War. There is a famous story that when Abraham Lincoln met Harriet Beecher Stowe during the Civil War, he supposedly greeted her by saying, "So you're the little woman who wrote the book that started this great war." It's a fantastic line. But there's a problem. Historians have never found reliable evidence that Lincoln actually said it. The quote may be legendary, but the impact of the novel was very real. And that's what makes Uncle Tom's Cabin so fascinating. It demonstrated something literature rarely gets credit for. A novel can become a political force. Stowe didn't command an army. She didn't hold political office. She wrote a story. And that story reached millions of people at a moment when the United States was deeply divided over slavery. Of course, the novel is not without serious problems. Modern readers have criticized its racial stereotypes, sentimental portrayal of black characters, and the way Uncle Tom's character has been distorted over time. So, Uncle Tom's Cabin is not simply a story of literary triumph. It's also a complicated historical artifact. But in 1852, its effect was undeniable. Within roughly 12 months, a novel had gone from the pages of a newspaper to an international sensation, and had helped change the way millions of people thought about one of the most explosive moral questions of the 19th century. And perhaps that's the real power of literature. Sometimes a book doesn't just reflect history, it helps make history. If you love the hidden stories behind the world's greatest books, subscribe to Literature Literally